Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Hello.
I see Matt. I see Lucy. I hear Vanessa. I see Ben is here. Judith is here. Antonella, Stuli, Katie. Cool. Make yourselves comfortable, everyone, and please head over to the chat and let us know who you are, what you do for work, and where in the world are you tuning in from this fine Thursday. Is it morning for you? Is it afternoon? Is it midday? Is it evening? London, UK, of course, it's raining here. It's raining in Amsterdam as well for, I think it's the second week.
Yeah, we've had so much bad rain.
It's just it's just what it is. I mean, the world, half of the world is burning, so I'm like, okay, I take the rain. Exactly, we need rain in Portugal. Yes. Okay, Massachusetts, that's morning for you, Matt. Good morning. Lucy from France, living in Barcelona, good afternoon. Portugal, good afternoon. All right. Well, keep them coming, everyone. Welcome. My name is Anna Maria. If we haven't met before, I am taking over from Anna Silva. She's leading this type of sessions. She got some situations with her flight, so she cannot be here today, but I'll be happily taking it over, introducing and welcoming our host today, Alex. I'm Anna Maria, I sit in Amsterdam. I'm Romanian. I am also the founder of L&D Shakers. Very excited to be spending time with y'all today here to learn more about a big pain point for all of us, I guess. We've all been there at a certain moment in time. And if we haven't, we are going to be there. The moment where we need to implement an LMS in our company. I'm very excited to open the floor today for Alex. He is part of the L&D Shakers for a long while now, and great L&D professional. These sessions are show and tell format. Alex will bring a couple of cases, situations on how he implemented his LMS in his role, past companies. We will have the opportunity to surface questions towards the end. Feel free to pop them in the chat as they come up to you, or if not, we will pass on the virtual mic, the talking stick at the end of the session. So we'll have some time for that as well to bring in your cases, your examples, your challenges, and so on to the conversation. And with no further ado, Alex, thank you so much for taking the stage today and showing us around. One mention, the sessions are being recorded. We are going to publish them on YouTube. If camera off is your thing and that feels more comfortable, don't feel any pressure to keep it on. If you want to keep it on, I'll be happy to see your faces and smiles, and I'm sure Alex will do the same. Alex, stage is yours. Over to you. Take it away.
Oh, thank you, Anna Maria. You'll have to excuse me, I'm a bit under the weather, so I sound a bit hoarse today, but hopefully it will persevere. Cool. Well, let me kick off by sharing my screen. Hopefully everyone can see that.
All good.
Wonderful. Cool. Well, okay. Thank you everyone for joining and tuning into my talk today on how to successfully launch an LMS. Maybe you're new to L&D, maybe you're not in L&D, but you've got responsibility of a learning platform. Maybe you've been in the industry for a while and you're just looking for some insights. Hopefully it's something useful for you. So over the next 20-25 minutes, I want to walk you through 2 examples of platforms that I've launched, how we implemented them, why they were successful, and share with you a bit about what I learned along the way. So hopefully it's all working.
Not though, we don't see your
there we
next.
go.
Ah, yes. Yep. It's a bit slower, but it's working.
So a little bit about me, or as I call it, who I am and why should you care about anything I have to say. Well, to give you a whistle-stop overview, I've been in L&D for over 10 years, working at every level in various departments, variety of industries from finance to healthcare to tech. And everything I've learned has led me to where I am at the moment, which is the head of training for Disguise. But enough about me. I want to talk about learning systems, specifically these two, Medivet and Disguise, which you may notice are my more recent two, and we'll just say that we've evolved over time, so they've been a bit more successful as we've learned along the way. One of these required building an L&D offering and department from the ground up, and the other involved taking a legacy system and revamping it to be more suitable to the modern learner and our particular audience. So, where to start with Medivet? Well, if the sound of music is to be believed, the beginning is a good place to start. Skipping past the initial requirement mapping, building this system required 4 key things: finding a suitable LMS, stakeholder buying to sell the company on the platform, its capabilities, and critically get the budget sign off, building the platform and launching it to our internal user database. I imagine this probably sounds quite familiar to a few of you. So to touch on each of these without going into too much detail, or this is going to be a much longer session, we surveyed the market, we met some vendors, we built a scorecard against the features that we valued the most. There's a lot of similar products out there. It's a competitive market, and you've got to be picky where you've got flexibility to do so. And my history with vendors, there's always some flexibility and some wiggle room for negotiation when it comes to choosing your vendor and what they can offer you. When shopping for an LMS, you need to meet the needs of your user base, but you can also shape your offering around the capabilities or constraints of your system. And you'll see what I mean by that in a bit. So to skip ahead through that process, we selected Fuse as our vendor and immediately went into stakeholder management. Thankfully, as part of their pitch, Fuse put together some mock-ups of what our brand could look like on their system. So we were easily able to get video and graphics in front of the C-suite so that they could visualize what we were planning for this platform. And we even made some preliminary generic sample courses as examples of potential content so that they had an idea of what this platform might look like if and when it was built. So, onto the build. This is where things get a bit more interesting. As a training department, we made some key decisions, such as using primarily video with some graphic and article-based learning. So little to no SCORM. I like Articulate and Rise and similar tools, but in a TikTok, minute attention span world, the accessibility of video content for me trumps the active versus passive learning debate, at least when it comes to online training. We created as much content as we could in the limited time before launch, but also brought in a content aggregator and filtered through to pick and upload an initial 60 to 80 courses covering your compliance and human skills training. The reason we did this was because if you launch an LMS with 5 pieces of content, then your users will complete them all, mentally mark the LMS as done, and you'll be trying to re-engage them rather than having their first experience go, wow, there's so much to do. It also meant we could build out learning plans, onboarding programs from the get-go, and it gave our content production cadence some room to produce new material. Next, we lent heavily into Fuse's community-based structure. That's what I meant about using the LMS capabilities. In case you don't know Fuse, and it's a bit of free marketing for them, they have a community system. So different communities receive different content, access different pages, and this could be a hurdle, but it ultimately became one of our greatest strengths. Did you have a clinical job? Yes, then you got access to the clinical community with all the gory surgical training and widgets to ask questions to senior staff. Do you want to learn about the different rota and client and practice management systems? Great, there's a tailored community for that. We even planned a community for learners to share fun things, good news, puppies born, you won an award, a client brought you cupcakes, share it. Each community tailored to a specific purpose with supporting functionality to help that goal. If you're familiar with Ross Stevenson, he said this a few times about why the Netflix of learning doesn't work. Yes, we brought in an initial bulk to get us started, but overloading your users with content will have them disengage. Would you rather walk into a library and be shown the fiction aisle, or have the librarian say, hey, you read that last time, I think you might like one of these three? I think we all would prefer a tailored experience, having recommended content. And if you can provide that in the way that you build your platform and you meet your users' needs, then it will set you up for success. On to the last stage, and I'm going to have to make sure I can get through with this, the launch. Amazingly, we went from signing the docs and kicking off the projects to launch in 50 days, which primarily I think was achieved, other than a lot of hard work by the entire team, by having a solidified vision, knowing what we wanted, what good looks like. And that meant we went to meetings with project managers and solution architects, not being told what was possible and wasting time, instead by planning ahead of time and going into those meetings with visualizations of what we thought communities looked like and saying, here's what we think this page should be structured. Is this possible? What are your thoughts? It meant we developed at a faster pace. And as one of my old managers used to say, prior planning prevents piss poor performance. So save time learning how your LMS works, so your build team focus on building and not spend their time explaining your own system to you. So content built, platform designed, back-end integrated, time for marketing, internal marketing, external marketing. The best learning platform in the world isn't worth a thing if nobody knows about it. So we planned one of the more creative launches I've seen, where everything we used to promote the launch. Each practice's login screen changed to promote the LMS. Internal stakeholders we used to cascade down the learning message. And we put together an unmissable pink box with tea, coffee, biscuits, headphones, and the messaging to take a break and see what you can learn in 15 minutes while having a coffee. Or tea, whatever you preferred. We're based in the UK, so we love our tea. And yeah, headphones. Yes, a pair of headphones per person, because how's a staff in a busy, noisy practice supposed to watch video training if they can't hear it? A point that sometimes your learners' engagement issues aren't to do with the content, but the environment. And how did it go? Well, after a week of packing bright pink boxes, we shipped them out and launched the platform in March 2020, a few days prior to the first national lockdown due to COVID. Worst launch ever, right? Maybe not. While on furlough, you weren't allowed to interact with work, but you could do training. So that social community we built, great for supporting staff through lockdown. We pivoted, and the LMS also became an internal comms tool, and senior staff using the platform shared company-wide messages and engaged with staff that they couldn't normally interact with. This practically forced everybody to get involved in the platform, and after just 4 months, we resurveyed our staff and asked how they felt about the training offered by the company, and our previously quite poor NPS score had risen by 52 points. By the time I left, after 3 years, the LMS was a core component for every system launch, corporate announcement, clinical update, you name it. So real success selling it internally. So swiftly moving on to my next case study, Disguise. Disguise was almost, or is almost, as I'm still there, different from Medivet in every way possible. Healthcare mindsets, very different to technical mindsets. This was client training, not internal training. We already had courses and an incumbent system, which was Docebo, and launching an LMS wasn't an initial goal. So what was the plan? I drink my tea. Our goals were to attract more learners to both our classroom and online offerings, increase engagement, and help our clients use our software and hardware goals, software and hardware better. Semi-universal, but still important goals that probably a lot of you share. So while we took a multi-pronged approach, I'll focus on just the LMS side, as that's the subject of today's talk. How did we start things? Understanding our audience. User feedback surveys, client interviews, the value of client data cannot be understated, both for planning your approach to learning, but also more widely in your company. The amount of times I've been asked for, oh, do you know what this client is doing? How many of these clients are interacting with learning? What's the industry breakdown? The wealth of information you have as an L&D professional is huge. So even if you have to incentivize them with giveaways or promotions, do it, just get that data. And in this case, the LMS feedback matched almost perfectly with my personal ideology and some of my early proposals. So that was nice. To address the wants and needs of our audience, ultimately, we required revamping our LMS almost from the ground up. Well, what did that mean that our learners wanted? What was going to make them log in and interact? Well, if you ask me, it boils down to three things: need, want, and ease. And it's true for learning like it is practically any choice we make. Do I need to go there, do that, learn that? Do I want to? How much effort is it going to take? Well, if your audience already needs your training, great. But you can also create need by maybe online training becomes part of a certification program that your company launches. Maybe you add particular courses into an existing learning plan so that they have to be done in order for that learning plan to be complete, and they need to be done. For Disguise, need was easy. It's a powerful but complex system, but it's not pick up and play. You need to learn it or be taught it to be successful. Want? How can I make people want to sign up to my LMS? Well, the approach we took was threefold. We integrated a digital badge system to add that gamified element of completing courses and collecting badges, which had to be shareable as a LinkedIn credential, because if you can't showcase your achievements, then you don't make other people want them. We added social learning and are continuing to build a community where users can share and interact, and this encourages them for self-promotion and gives them a platform to share and interact, makes them want to come back. And lastly, through the content and through marketing, demonstrating the achievements of skilled users. Look at any community built by creatives or around creatives, from Adobe's Behance to Articulate's e-learning heroes. You'll see that the top users are regularly highlighted and they inspire the rest to improve. And finally, ease. Like with the headphones at Medivet, think about the user experience. People don't like to do difficult things, so don't make your learning experience difficult. Think, how well do you serve your audience? Is my content easy to read, to watch, to interact with? Are my courses easy to find? Are they signposted well? Are they buried underneath menus? Is my audience multilingual? Do I cater for that? Have I even thought about mobile users? Simple user experience planning, which in our case meant better signposting, mobile responsive content, never having a course more than 3 clicks away. And while it's still in the works, we'll soon launch our entire library and platform in 7 additional languages to cater for our global audience, because we want them all to have a tailored experience that best suits them. Oh, I really do hope my voice holds on. Now, I could spend hours deep diving into the requirements and every little thing we changed, but to summarize, we took our existing platform and we rebuilt it around the user to give them a better learning experience. Now, like before, an LMS is only as good as the content we put in it. Unlike before, we had a starting point and an existing user base. So we undertook a, not to be understated, ground up rebuild of all of our courses into a focused micro, or maybe not micro, but mini framework, which gives users easier access to find specific information straight away. Add in an updated content strategy and a new visual style for the content, and we're good to launch. Right? Almost. Like the last example, we need to market the LMS, this time to an external, not a captive audience, and nothing supports marketing more than a brand. Not the overall brand, but a learning brand. Log in to our e-learning, online training, webinar portal. Doesn't sound great. Doesn't really roll off the tongue. At Medivet, we asked staff if they'd fused today. So for Disguise, and I should have mentioned this earlier because it's tied into all the steps I mentioned previously, we built the Disguise Learn brand. A simple message, come check out Disguise Learn. See what it is, what it offers, and how it can help you learn. And honestly, I love this brand. Our CX team did an amazing job, and the story and reasoning behind the shapes and color choices fits so well on its own, but also part of the wider Disguise ecosystem. And it definitely made my day seeing all of these parts come together. But it meant that when we pushed this out to our users, they saw something new, they saw something shiny, they saw something professional, and they wanted to come and they wanted to see what was now available. Now, to be perfectly fair, a lot of the online offering had been put together as a COVID response from a previously very classroom-orientated company. But as evidenced by the user feedback, the modern learner needs a modern experience. So all of the elements of Disguise Learn combined led us to have a sleek, user-focused platform with a cohesive style across the content, platform, and marketing. And we even changed the URL to Learn. Okay, launch time. Standard affair, website update, promotional video content, email blast, social posts. If you are proud of what you have built, then shout about it. How has it gone? Well, over the last 18 months, we've launched more and more new courses. We've grown our platform from 2,000 users built over 3 years to almost 8,000 in half that time. We have an average user score of 4.5 out of 5 and an NPS score of 53. So I would say our relaunch has gone well. But beyond the client success, the brand, the attention, the clarified offerings has raised the profile of training internally, which subsequently has led to more internal promotion, more internal use, more interaction with other departments and how we can support each other, how we can integrate training with sales and vice versa. And it really has just compounded the effect of relaunching the platform and trying to attract new users. Okay. Thanks for listening to what feels like my life over the last almost 5 years, for holding on to the end. Drawing from these experiences and examples, I'll try to summarize what I believe are some of the key factors that have made both of these a success. I think it's pretty clear, even if I do say so myself. Well, first, know your audience. If you have an audience of on-the-go mobile users, support that and don't build interactive desktop bias learning. Ask them, what do they want? What is useful to them? How do they learn? And work that into your planning at the beginning, not after you've launched. Build your learning experience around your users. Value. Make learning worth your trainees' time. I said it before, but we live in a TikTok world where attention spans get smaller and smaller by the day. 30 tailored, well-produced, high-quality courses outweighs 1,000 mundane, unengaging tick box courses. Put the time in and your learners will respond. If they think your training reaches excellence, they'll not only give you their time, but they'll share it with colleagues and you'll naturally grow. Advertising. A silent LMS launch is about as useful as a DVD rewinder. Market and promote your platform, sell your audience on the benefits of learning, show them how to use it, and have other people internally or externally doing the same. Build a brand. That's why so many online platforms are becoming academies or online universities, because recognition helps. And something I might not have drawn enough attention to, talent. No man is an island. And while all of these deliverables, plans, designs, courses are amazing, they've all been produced collaboratively with incredibly capable people in my own department and with other departments. It is borderline impossible to be an expert in marketing, content production, user experience, branding, systems, coding. And even if you are, it's a lot of work for one person. So surround yourself with talented people who share your vision. Find out what skills and mindsets you have in your company, or even go external. Even find people who have a different vision and interact with them and be open and be flexible when you're making your plans, because other people may know better than you. So factor that in. And yeah, really, go back. Yeah, skipped ahead. Yeah, those are, I think, are the main 4 key takeaways that I've come up with from summarizing and putting together this presentation. I would love to shorten it to a VAT, though it doesn't really roll off the tongue. Maybe someone else can recommend something a bit better. But yeah, that's all, folks. I'm always happy to talk more about things or connect on LinkedIn. So yeah, if anyone's got any questions, happy to take them.
Perfect. Alex, thank you very much. We can close the presentation. Anthony added you on LinkedIn. I will drop the link in the chat as well. So we've got Benjamin asking a question. Benjamin, I don't know if you want to come off mute and ask it, otherwise I can surface it as well. Did you have any experience, Alex, with stakeholders holding back the project because they were not convinced or not interested?
Yeah, definitely. I find that you either have 2 types of stakeholder. You have the one that wants something really top level, just show them something flashy, impress them, and then they'll give you the green light. Or you've got the person that really wants the micro level. They want the detail. They know everything of how it's going to work. I think the more senior you go, the more people just want something flashy and top level because they don't have the minutia, the time to go into the minutia of it. But I think as long as you always bring it back to your users, the user case, and map it to the company goals, then it's easy to break through barriers from stakeholders. You know, we're going to launch an LMS for Medivet. We're not sure. We spend 6-figure sums on face-to-face classroom training. So we can save this much money by switching just a fraction to online. Instantly, stakeholders' eyes open up and their ears open up as well. And suddenly they want to know a bit more about how we can save money or improve engagement or increase the quality of our care. So I think as long as you drive it towards whatever the goals are, then you can bypass stubborn stakeholders.
Okay, Ben says thanks. We've got Pedro. Pedro, do you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Thank you. Hi, Alexander. Thank you for the presentation. It was great. I work in a very small company of training. We have a very low budget. Can you give me some tips about how about the best LMS, the most modern options?
Oh, the most modern options.
And cheap, of course.
Yeah, an L&D department with a small budget. That's completely new. Yeah, I think there's obviously a lot of options. Really, I think trying to find, like I said, for Medivet, we built a scorecard as to which ones met our requirements. I think always target which one meets your needs. If there's a platform with a really great user community, that's amazing. But if you don't want community features, then you're paying for something that you don't need. So always go back to what are the things that I need to deliver? What are the features that help me? And then look at the vendors that meet those requirements and then compare and contrast and see what negotiation room you've got. At least that's my advice.
Thank you. Thank you. Great advice. Thank you, Alex.
Pedro, I used Easy Generator. It's not an LMS per se, it's more a content authoring tool, but it has the option to share those courses. And because it's a content authoring tool, you pay for the author seat. You don't pay for every single user around. So it doesn't matter how many people are taking the courses. So that was, I worked at a startup. We were very young, not a lot of money. So that was an in-between solution, very easy to use, drag and drop. Easy Generator, I put it in the chat for you to.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it was a while back, 2 years ago. I don't know what changed, but you can have a look. Price-wise was really good option.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Then we have Anthony. Anthony, not sure if you want to come off mute and ask a question.
Yeah, no, I can do. I don't think my webcam is working because I can't see.
That's okay.
But
yes,
yeah,
we don't see you. That's okay, but we hear you perfectly well.
Thanks. Alex, I thought it was a really, really useful presentation, and it was great to get your insights. I think the only thing for me, because this is something that my organization or future organizations will ask, is you obviously selected the ones that worked for you, but where did you start? Because there's thousands out there that are all either advertised on LinkedIn, etc. I appreciate you said you made a scorecard, but yeah, where did you start? I think it's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think probably the place most people start, Google. In the UK, Learning Tech Expo, there's always people, every LMS vendor under the sun there pretty much. Looking at newer articles about new LMSs that are released. So again, just web search, because you will find more boutique companies who actually offer a lot for the value, which is how we actually found our badging system, which is Open Badge Factory, who are massively undervalued for what they offer. But yeah, pretty much learning expos, world of learning, learning tech, and good old internet. I think there are some matrix where people compare and contrast different systems. So there's a lot of vendors available in one shop. I don't know, always agree with where they're ranked, but it at least gives you a good starting point. But you're right, it's almost impossible to know every vendor under the sun. There's simply too many. Perfect.
No, great. Honestly, it's just really, really valuable, because I'm going to be asked to do this in the next couple of weeks. So if I can just go through Google and, some of the changes I have, then great. But thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, certainly if you ping me on LinkedIn, I can probably recommend a few depending on budget levels or requirements.
Excellent. Yeah, that'd be amazing. Thank you.
All right. And Deepshika has a question. I'm not sure if you want to come off mute and ask it yourself. I can surface it otherwise. I would love to get a glimpse on the process of designing the courses. How does that look like? I think the question relates to those that you created in-house, not the ones that you bought like from libraries. How did that look like on your end, Alex?
Yeah, similar content process. So we've got in-house content teams. I used to be a content producer many years ago, so I tend to lean more towards video, like I said, because it's my skill set of video editing, and B, it's I think, a bit more engaging. I'm also a expert Articulate user, but I think people still are so used to watching videos that, yes, you want people to interact and engage and to do the quiz because the quiz verifies their knowledge, but I've not delivered a learning solution where there's been a quiz and people haven't hated it. So generally, the content process is always just, well, particularly in Medivet, we were not expected to be vets or know how to, do any of the procedures. That was well beyond skill set. So it was almost a standard, find the expert. So find the in-house expert on rabbits, sit with him, digest his knowledge, break it down into digestible micro chunks. So how to treat a rabbit, how to knock it out, how to cut it open, all with unique pieces of content, very bite-sized. And then either create it as a article and photos and rich media, or we went into surgeries with video equipment and we filmed the process. We really broke it down, or pretty much everything in between. So just a very standard L&D skill set of what have we got to do, finding someone who knows what to do, and then using your L&D skill set to break it down, because every single person we want who's an expert will want you to cover every single part of what they are interested in. But if you're teaching someone to rewire a plug, does the user need to know everything about electrical circuits, or do they just need to know, don't touch the blue one, you'll die? So you've kind of got to use your own knowledge to then go, what level am I targeting, and make it engaging, which for me is video content, but also sometimes interactive content. Hopefully that answers the question.
Deepshita, let us know in the chat, please. Just to add something here, I remember when I worked at Ace and Tate and we had to map all of those skills out to create a content. I empathize when you said the experts would want everything in there because they think that everything is important. And so something that we did was to divide it in 3 different, let's call it levels. A beginner, someone that just starts, what is it that they need to be on the shop floor and be able to talk to clients? Then an intermediate, and then an advanced for someone that works already for a year or 2 years in the company. What is all of the other tips and tricks and like really depth that they can go in? So it helped us to kind of work on that levels.
We've done something similar with Disguise, actually. So I mentioned that micro mini approach and signposting. So we've segmented all of our training into beginner, advanced, and expert, and then into industry. So if you're interested in live events and you want to put on the next Beyonce concert, great, here's training tailored to you. If you want to go create a film and you want to be an expert user, here's what's good for you. So they always get what they need and don't have to go through dozens and dozens of courses that they're not interested in. So really clear segmentation, signposting, tagging, definitely helps.
Nice, thank you. Vanessa asks, are there any external content libraries that you recommend for the, I don't know how to call it, embedded or like buying courses?
Yeah, we use several. Go1 has a massive catalog. I'm a big fan of the Thrive content library. I think they call it the Content Club. I think it's pretty high quality content, so it's not en masse tick box stuff. They do seem to design a lot of it in-house. So those are the 2 that I am most familiar with and I tend to gravitate towards. But 95% of our content actually we make in-house.
All right. Any last questions from the room for Alex? I have a curiosity of my own, Alex. I absolutely love the examples you gave with marketing and how you teamed up with the team to create that launch plan with the giveaways and everything around that. I was just wondering, how much of a role did leadership or team leads play into the rollout or the success of these programs? Did you at any given point had any types of interventions with them to bring them on board and make sure that they also promote it and talk about it and so on? Was that something you looked at?
Yeah, I think it's an easier example with Medivet because it was internal, but we also had the flashier launch with all the boxes. We ran the idea past senior people and just got budget approval and went, here's some 3D mock-ups of headphones. Can we order 1,000 of them or 2,000 of them? But we went to the heads of clinical department because obviously it's a vet, you've really got to win over the clinical team. And well, not only did we film them promoting the LMS and the training, but then also had them cascade down. So there was a head of the north and head of the south, and then they would ask their regional heads to say, are people engaged in the learning platform? We work with them to say, okay, maybe we should start benchmarks for how many people on board and how much engagement and learning plan completion you've got for your region. So it actually got worked into their KPIs, which I think definitely helped with the engagement. And yeah, I think that's pretty much what we did. That and just the pink boxes were really cool. It was just a massive shame that probably about 25% of them ended up being sent back because all the practices had closed due to COVID.
Pink boxes.
I know, pink boxes. That was a solid week of me and my boss at the time put in coffee, tea, headphones into boxes and we knew exactly how many people were in each practice. So it was portioned out per person and it took a long time.
I guess you didn't have any interns at that time. And speaking of that, this ties in very well with Lucy's question. How many people were in your team to achieve these projects, Alex? Sounds like a lot of work.
At Medivet, we were split into a digital team and a classroom team. So maybe unjustly, but putting aside the classroom team, we had a digital team of 3, 2 content creators and a manager. And at Disguise, we have a team of 4, me, and then there's a technical writer, a classroom trainer, and a single content creator. So pretty small teams, especially considering how wide the audience is. So definitely what I said about talent, get people who are just very good and then make sure they stay.
And probably also make sure to make really good friends with the marketing department and all the subject matters experts and everyone else that can help with IT department. They're also quite crucial when it comes to LMS implementation, right?
Yeah, we
all right,
a lot of interaction with IT.
Alex, this was awesome. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for tuning in, for the great questions you've asked. Find Alex on LinkedIn, around Slack, in the community, ask your questions. We're at time. If any one of you is really proud of a project you've done, an onboarding, a leadership, anything at all, that's why these sessions are for. We're peeking behind the scenes into your work with your lessons learned, your success, your failures, get folks the opportunity to ask around. I'm putting in our Google form so you can apply, so that Anna reach out to you and we give you a spot to showcase the work you're doing so that we can all learn from each other. This is amazing. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your days. Appreciate you, Alex, and all the great information. And we'll see you around. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Anna.